Hi guys, and welcome to Mythbusting Part 12. This is a series where I take your grounded myths and test them in the game. In today's episode, I show you how to build underwater, make a better repair tool, and skip the spacer. The first myth in today's episode comes in from and they ask, Myth, can you build an underwater base? As you can see, I replied to this guy and I said no, because we all know you can't build underwater in Grounded. But what if I told you that you can? Well, kind of. I realized in my stream the other day that I was able to build inside of the ant totem cave, which I thought was weird, as usually the game says no land rights when you try to build in caves. So I decided to head to the Abomination Totem Cave to see if I was able to build there. Turns out you actually can build a base if you start building in the corner. Now I don't recommend doing this as it is really cramped, but this myth is confirmed, kind of. You can build a base underwater. Our second myth today comes in from King Lemon, and they ask, Myth, black ant eggs can't be exploded by tier 1 bombs, but can with tier 2. I think this is because they are a tier 2 item, and usually you need a tier 2 item to break other tier 2 items. Let's check it out. As you can see, I was able to break an egg using my tier 3 rusty spear first. I then dropped one on the ground and punched it with my fists. Eventually it broke, so this myth is busted. You can use any tier item to break the black ant eggs in the game. Our next myth today comes in from George Kane. Say hi to Harry for me.
This is great banter.
And they ask, Myth, is it possible to prevent the broodmother from walking by spamming acorn tops in the arena? Let's check it out. I laid a bunch of acorn tops on the ground and then began the fight. Unfortunately, this didn't seem to do anything. It just made it more difficult for me to move around. Maybe I didn't have enough acorn tops, but as far as I can see, this myth is busted. Dropping acorn tops doesn't stop the broodmother from moving. The next myth in today's episode comes in from Cat, and they ask, Myth, water creatures will ignore you when your head is not in the water. Let's check it out. I headed into the moat around the Moldorc castle and waited for the spiny water fleas to attack. When I put my head above the water, they all instantly forgot I existed. So yes, of course, this myth is indeed confirmed. For some reason, when your head is above the water, they all forget that you exist. Today's next myth comes in from Bottled Bread, and they ask, Myth, you can tame a meaty gnat with spoiled meat slurries. Now everyone knows that you can use spoiled meat slurries to tame regular gnats, but can you tame the meaty variation? I headed to the trash heap and dropped some spoiled meat slurry on the ground. The meaty gnats didn't seem interested. I hit one to make him drop the food that he was holding to see if that would make him interested in the slurry, but sadly not. This myth is busted. You sadly can't tame the meaty gnats in the game. The next myth today comes in from Taboo Tyler. And they ask, Myth, Truffle Tussle can dig up the melted moat key. As you know, in the past, we figured out that you can use tier 2 bombs to dig up buried treasure. But will Truffle Tussle work also? I brought over an antlion and got Truffle Tussle to go off multiple times. Sadly, the key didn't come up from underground, so this myth is busted. Truffle Tussle is only a tier 1 explosion, meaning you can't use it to dig up the buried treasure or the melted moat key. Our next myth today comes in from Insert Text Here. And they ask, Myth, if a weevil dies to poison from a spicy weapon, the food won't cook. I decided to try and test this using a water flea with my widow dagger. But I noticed that for some reason the water flea wasn't taking any poison damage. I then tried it on the tadpole, but he didn't take poison damage either. I didn't know this before, but apparently all of the underwater enemies are immune to poison. So I tested it on a weevil. When he died to poison, I looted his body and got a raw weevil meat. This myth is therefore confirmed. If the enemy dies to poison, it doesn't cook the meat it drops. Today's next myth was sent in by Frost X Rain, and they say, Myth, can you get into the oak tree lab without turning on the spacer? Now, I'd seen people do this in the past, using weed stems and grass planks, but after trying for around an hour, I just couldn't do it. But then, I figured it out. In the old anthill, just follow the parkour that I do with some aphid slippers and at least tier 1 of Natural Explorer. Or no aphid slippers and tier 3 of Natural Explorer. You can just make it into the oak lab. This myth is confirmed. You can revive Burgle without activating the spacer, but what happens when you beat the game? Leave it as a myth in the comments, and I'll test it out in the next episode. The next myth in today's episode comes in from Ari, and they ask, myth, you can get cooked food and jerky by using elemental weapons. A lot of people have been commenting this, so I thought I'd finally put it in a video. As of the 1.1 update, if you kill an enemy with a spicy weapon, it will cook the food when looted. This also works if you kill a bug with a salty weapon, as it will be made into jerky. This myth is of course confirmed, and it's a very useful feature for when you need food on the go. It would be interesting to see if fresh makes your food last any longer. Our next myth today comes in from Jackaman. Yep, definitely didn't butcher that. And they ask, myth, you can block the Black Ox Pebble attack with the spicy staff. Let's check it out. I first tried by blocking the attack with the staff. This didn't work at all. Next I tried blocking the attack by shooting it with the spicy staff. And this does cause the pebble to break, technically blocking the attack. There is also a weird glitch that happens with this sometimes that does a huge amount of damage to the Black Ox Beetle, or just straight up kills it. Thus, this myth is confirmed, as you can block the pebble attack by shooting the pebble with the spicy staff. Today's next myth comes in from Mr. Cereal, and they ask, myth, stave projectiles will get stuck on webs if shot through. Let's test it out. I shot a sour staff at a web, and it just went straight through. I then tested it with the spicy staff, and it also went straight through. Thus, this myth is busted. The projectiles do not get stuck on the webs, they just go right through them, like they're not even there. The next myth in today's video comes in from Rock, and they ask, myth, if you hit a bug with a stave, but unequip it before it hits the bug, it won't gain aggro. Let's find out. I found myself a ladybug and shot it before unequipping the staff. As you can see, the projectile hit the ladybug, but not only did it not aggro, it also didn't do any damage. So this myth is confirmed. Not only does the bug not aggro, it also doesn't take any damage. Our next myth today was sent in by Fairy Liquid and Brennan, and they ask, myth, does upgrading the repair tool make it better at repairing? I got 2 repair tools and upgraded one to level 9. I had 2 ash walls on the same amount of health ready to be repaired. The regular repair tool took 20 swings to fully repair the wall. The fully upgraded repair tool took only 11 swings, meaning that this myth is confirmed. Upgrading the repair tool does actually make it better at repairing stuff in the game. This is actually a really cool feature for those struggling to beat the mixers. Today's next myth was sent in by SM, and they ask, myth, if you put spider venom in a drink, it will poison you. Let's test it out. I made a slop smoothie containing spider venom and drank it to no effect. I then tried it with 3 spider venom, a super spider venom, and 3 super spider venom. None of them poisoned me, so this myth is busted. You can drink poison as long as you mix it into a smoothie first. The penultimate myth of today's video was sent in by Corndog, and they ask, myth, does using a wolf spider head mount increase the damage dealt to the infected wolf spider? I'm assuming they're asking this because there isn't an infected wolf spider head mount. Let's check it out. I killed the wolf spider without the head mount, and it took 7 full combos. Then I activated the wolf spider head mount and killed it again, and it took 7 full combos yet again. Thus, this myth is busted. The trophy doesn't increase the damage dealt to the infected wolf spider. The final myth in today's episode comes in from The Supply, and they ask, myth, you go down the zipline slower with the zipper. Interesting myth. Let's find out. I lined myself up in a corner so I would get onto the zipline the same way both times. I tried it first without the zipper, and it only took 2.5 seconds. I went to get the zipper and then tried it again. With the zipper, it only took 2.25 seconds. Thus, this myth is busted. It definitely isn't slower with the zipper. In fact, I'm relatively confident in saying that it's quicker, but I can't be 100% certain because this test was over quite a short distance. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on it. Thank you so much for 6,500 subs recently, and I'll see you in the next Grounded video. Have a great rest of your day.